On this episode, we sit down with the original cast member from the 1996 cult classic, Joe's Apartment. No, it's not Jerry O'Connell. Do you not know your Joe's Apartment history? My guest is Justin, and lucky for Mr. O'Connell, he fell ill the first day of filming. Justin isn't one not to show up. Having attended 17 different schools, including 5 different high schools, he had to learn how to make friends quickly, and serving others is one of the best ways to do that. We also dive into the finer points of ironing, beaver nuggets, and taking cleaning seriously, all while enjoying cold sake. Let's jump in. So really quickly, so I can go ahead and get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. When I met you, did you or did you not tell me?
Oh boy.
No,
What did I say?
No, listen.
Okay.
Did you or did you not tell me that you either auditioned or got the part for Joe's Apartment?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can you just tell me about that real quick?
Oh man. Okay. So I auditioned a long time ago when I first got to Austin. I auditioned for Joe's Apartment and got the part. And then right before call, I got so sick. And I could not report to the call and start the show. And so Chris O'Donnell is the guy who took my place in that, I believe. And so I got out of acting after that. I was like, screw it. That was my one shot. It was really hard to get to that point. But yeah, that was when I was growing up in high school. I was a thespian all 4 years in high school. I even lettered in drama. I had a big OD on my jacket or whatever. But yeah, so theater was where I was at and what I wanted to do. And unfortunately that just didn't happen for me. But now I'm a realtor. So
yeah. You know what? Okay, so I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
In all the we've made so many progressions in society, with the acceptance of things,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But nobody wants to talk about the progression that we have made in high school theater.
Oh.
Because I also did some drama acting when I was in high school. And I don't know about what your experience was, but I didn't get treated very nice all the time for being a drama kid. And I feel like now, if you do drama, it's cool. It's cool to be, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not in touch with the kids.
So, okay. So a little bit of, let me go into this real quick. So I moved around a lot growing up. I went to 17 different schools, 5 different high schools.
Dang.
People ask me all the time, did you play sports, everything else? No, sports was a very cliquey thing, especially football. If you didn't kind of grow up with everybody in play since Pee Wee League or whatever, it was hard to get into that. One of the things that I loved doing though was acting. And so I always felt like the theater kids were the ones that was always accepting. I was a little bit a different theater kid. I wasn't the out there, the goth or what, long hair, the real strange. I was sort of the preppy actor, so I kind of was able to, I had different I was in a lot of different groups in high school, social groups, but one of the ones that I always fit in the most was with the theater kids, because again, they were the most accepting because of the fact I felt like they were always ridiculed or teased or whatever. And so if you were just cool and nice, they were very accepting. And so so every school that I went to, I just got into the theater program immediately. That's actually how I met my first wife, was through me joining the theater program on my junior year when I first got to this high school years ago. And but anyway, so
is there any correlation between kind of you doing theater and then having to meet people over and over and over again?
Correct.
And I don't say creating a character, but kind of protecting yourself and especially as a young person, as a high school, your high school,
absolutely,
junior high,
all
absolutely.
that time. Oh yeah.
And so just, I don't know, did you lean on both of them kind of, or what?
I did. I had to. So that was one of the things, my personality, I'm a very high eye on the disc personality profile. So very social basically. So to me, when I started moving around so much, I didn't really care about school. I didn't care about my grades. What I cared about was making friends really fast. And so I really, from an early age, I started learning certain social skills about how to get in as fast as possible to the groups that I wanted to be a part of. And, I cannot tell you how many times I changed my hairstyle or dressed different. I would move to a new school and I was like, okay, this time I want to be a skater, right? So I'd like find the cool skater group and I would infiltrate that and just be like, like observing everything. What are you wearing? What are you doing? How are you walking? What do you have on your, and I would go and I would buy all I would say, Mom, I got to get the skateboard and I got to get these clothes. I got to do whatever just to fit in, because I knew in a year and a half, boom, I was gone. I was somewhere else, And so being social was a very,
it's a skill.
It's a skill, but it was also something that was very important to me because I just enjoyed relationships and friendships, right? And so, and then having to move, and then I also cared a lot. That really sucked. I had a lot of therapy about that. I had to, it was like I missed friends or girlfriends or whatever it was, and so I learned some bad coping skills about like cutting off emotions and all these different things. But it all, I think, came through and to fruition when I got into high school and started doing theater, because learning all these different parts, so to speak, in my life, acting was about being somebody that you're not, right? And getting into that role, getting consumed with it, and being that person. And so I think it was an easy thing for me to get into acting and be somebody else that I wasn't because of the skills that I had learned. When I got into my junior and senior year, I was really fortunate to have some really good theater teachers that their background was real heavy theater and just taught me a lot, and I remember, because I wasn't so great in school, especially math, my senior year pretty much I had like theater almost half the day because of the way my schedule was. I remember when I got to that school, my guidance counselor called me in like 3 months into school year, and she like throws this file down on her desk, and she's like, I was in Virginia at the time. She's like, Justin, I don't know what to do with you because you've been to all these places and you need certain credits to graduate here. You need an earth science class, but it's a freshman class. You're a senior. So I'm going to have to like take you out of foreign language and put you over here. But then, you don't need some of these other credits. So we're just going to double block you for theater. And I was like, perfect, because that's what I wanted. But I also had to take a math class as well, and hated math. And I remember going into this, my math teacher, he was the golf coach too. So he's like, this, I don't know, just an interesting guy. But anyway, so I remember we were going through a season of where the English classes were all having to, like if they had to read Macbeth or whatever they were reading at the time, the theater department would put on the play for whatever they were reading. So most of the school would come and I remember doing Macbeth, and I think I was Macbeth. I can't remember what part I was. I think I was Macbeth. And I remember going back to my math class the next day, and my teacher calls me over because I also was like a class clown and would disrupt and stuff like that. And I think that's why we didn't get along, because I was always messing around in his class. So he calls me when class was over and walking out, and he goes, "Hey, Gonzalez, come here." And I was like, okay, go over there. And he said, I saw you yesterday. He's like, "You really like acting?" I was like, "I love it. That's what I want to do. I want to be an actor. When I graduate, I want to go to California and be an actor." He's like, "Well, I think you were really good, And he was like, "I think I could see you like doing it like full time." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Listen, I'll make a deal with you." He goes, "You see this desk over here?" He goes, "You come in and you study your lines at this desk and sit here and don't say a word and disrupt my class anymore." And he goes, "I'll pass you with a C. You don't have to do any of the work." And I was like, "For real?" He goes, "Yeah, just come in, sit at this desk, study your lines, and I will pass you with a C. And I was like, perfect. And that's what we did. That was our agreement. I went in there, and the funny thing was, is that desk faced the wall. So it was like every time people would come in, they're like, what did Justin do? Because I was just sitting there facing the wall, didn't say anything to anybody the whole class period. And then, but it was a perfect setup, So
how many months did you have to do that?
Oh man, I think it was like the last 3 or 4 months of school that he finally like it clicked with him, but it wasn't that long. But yeah, man, he was cool about it. And anyway, but yeah, that was like one of my stories with acting in high school that I thought was pretty cool, that he kind of saw something in me and was like, hey, you know what? I mean, I don't know how he got away with it, but I mean, he gave me a C in the class. So
what did that do for you and your confidence around like having this idea that you're going to pursue acting?
Well, I mean, because he didn't really care for me. And I think it was just because I was disrupting his class. But to have somebody like that, come to me that we weren't really getting along and kind of like, hey, man,
it was an incredible compromise.
Well, it was, but he also saw something in me,
Yeah.
And that was something that really, I guess, there was a respect thing there for both of us at that point. And I think that's why when I came in, like I was like, hey, this guy saw something in me and he's giving me an opportunity to be better at what I really love to do. So don't take advantage of that. Came in, shut my mouth, faced the wall, studied my lines, and we were good. So,
I mean, he kind of did you a favor.
He did. He did me a huge favor.
I mean, because you were looking at it from the angle of like, he's just tired of me. But like, someone that's just tired of you wouldn't necessarily take the time to reach out and go like, hey,
Correct.
you did a really good job. And you really like this and let me help you kind of, you know what I mean?
He was a good guy actually, and after that whole exchange, like we would see each other in the hallways. We'd be like, what's up, Gonzalez? Like we were cool after that, we just had this understanding. But yeah, it was just, and I've thought about that moment and that choice that he made with me a lot in life, because he invested in me. He saw something in me and was like, you know what, maybe this kid's thing isn't math, but it is acting or it's whatever he's passionate about. So, he allowed me to, because of that, I really, I would study my lines after school and things like, and in theater class. But I was at that point, I was able to really that's what I really studied my lines and thought about things and, different things in that class for 45 minutes or whatever. So yeah. Good guy.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. One of your kids comes home and tells you that story.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going like, okay, cool? Or are you going like, I'm gonna have to talk to this math teacher? Because look,
that's a good question.
Because this is what I'm having the argument in my mind right now. Is like, did he do the right thing? And the right thing is by whatever lens you're looking at through.
Yeah.
But in my old ass lens that I'm sitting in right now,
yeah,
even though I think that most parents would probably have an issue with it,
sure,
I think he did the right thing because not only did it solve problems,
sure,
but he showed empathy.
He did,
and he showed he helped you believe in yourself.
Yeah,
and I would rather my kid have that than a good. Doesn't know how to do trigonometry.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he knew it wasn't my thing. I just told him, I was like, I don't. And so I'm dyslexic as well. Right. So math and writing. So English and math were my hardest subjects. And it was really hard for me. I had to teach myself how to, read certain things. And, even to this day, it's like, it's kind of like somebody who's colorblind and they try to you're like, how do you know that that's whatever? Well, it's like, okay, that color that you see, that some people have it really bad, but I've
whatever that color is, somebody's told you it's red.
It's red, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's red. You just can't see what red really looks like or whatever. So when I see a word or whatever, because
I don't know how other people see words.
Yeah, I know, but for me, some people have different levels of dyslexia, but I don't have it that bad. But I can. It's worse in the morning and at night. That's why I try not to post in the morning. Lots of people will text me be like, hey, you posted something and it's misspelled or the word's wrong or whatever. I'm like, damn it.
ChatGPT. That's why I use that word.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so learning lines for me was really hard, but it was just, like I said, something that I was passionate about. And I forgot where we were going with this. Oh, you were just saying about how he did me a favor. I think he just realized that, not everybody's good at certain things, and why not support somebody who's he saw something in me, obviously, on that stage that spoke to him. And he was like, oh, this kid isn't he's not bad at everything. Or he's not a screw off, or he's not whatever. Like, he obviously is passionate about something, and, he supported me in it. So yeah, it's interesting that you asked me that question, because I feel like if I had heard that from one of my kids, I'd be like, no, you need to learn math, but at the same time, I guess, cause I experienced it, maybe I'd be more tolerant about it. But maybe had I not experienced it myself, who knows? Maybe I'd have a conversation and understand if the teacher was like, look, your child's just not going to be good at math, and they're great at this, so why not just support them or something? I don't know. So,
well, I have a similar story, but it's not as glorious as yours.
I don't know if it's glorious.
I threw a party in college, and there was underage people drinking, and so they had to pin it on somebody. So the guy, cussed me up, and they take all the booze and they walked me down to the car, and then he got me down there and he said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just let you stay. You can just stay here tonight. I'm going to turn your name in. Just turn yourself in tomorrow, and you can stay here. You don't have to spend the night in jail. And I was like, oh, cool. So then when I called up there the next day, he never turned my name in.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Now, so he didn't have to do all that.
No.
But maybe because I cooperated, or he saw something in me, or that whatever it was, he decided to give me a break.
Yeah.
And sometimes like people just need a break, man.
No,
like,
it's true.
Sometimes people just need you to give them a break, instead of being the next person to tell them that they're fucking up their life,
exactly,
or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I've seen, one of the things that I'm very good at, I think, in my life is grace, because I've been given a lot of it, right? I think there's been a lot of sticky situations that I've been in that people have, like this teacher, for example, and I don't know, sometimes. I look back in my life, I don't know if I've been fortunate or not, but I've had people come into it in certain times of my life that have shown me grace and compassion, and have helped me through lots of different challenging times in my life. And I don't know if that's just because, sometimes when people go through hard things, they can just be assholes, period, And so it's like, they're really abrupt and abrasive, and like, who wants to help somebody who's like that? But I feel like when you are like, like we talked about earlier, like owning your shit and just being like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I messed up. Or, I can't even remember the teacher's name, but I'm like, I don't like math, but I love theater. That's what I want to do. I wasn't an asshole about it. I feel like, when people see the genuineness sometimes in conversations with people, that's when you kind of get, like what you were just saying, I'm sure there was if I was a fly on the wall and I would have saw your interaction with him, there was probably a reason he made that decision. And it wasn't just like he was trying to give just a random kid a pass, right?
I would say so.
There's probably a certain way you talked to him and said some things and acted and treated him that made him do what he did.
So people won't know where any of this is, but I went to school at Southwest Texas, or Texas State. It's in San Marcos, Texas,
what
and
is
it's really well known as.
I actually worked there.
It's well known as a party school.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So
yeah,
and this particular guy that arrested me was like the dude that everyone, I don't remember his name, but in college everybody knew this guy's name. They're like, you don't want to get caught up with this dude, and it was like that guy.
What year was that?
Like 2001 or 2002, somewhere around there.
All right.
I was already like out of college and like back in San Marcos.
Okay.
Because my life was going swimmingly at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, and so, because I was giving booze to minors, but it was my brother's friends.
Yeah.
Doesn't count when it's your brother, does it?
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Or his friends. Yeah.
I'm not responsible for his friends. I'm only responsible for my brother.
Exactly.
He's family, so I'm going to let him drink, I guess.
Exactly. You're just trying to be the cool brother.
So I think that this guy just like, because kind of back to, something we've talked about is like your parents and what they shape you. My parents shaped me. Yeah. Especially once, like, cause I got in trouble. Like I wasn't a bad kid, but I wasn't a good kid. But like they told me that, once you're in trouble, like you need to be respectful. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're already fucked. So like there's no reason. And so that was just, I would always be cooperative because, there's really nothing else better to be, than cooperative.
Sometimes that just makes the difference, man.
But with regular people too. Yeah. Like just like, like, let me ask you this. Like, did moving to all the different schools and stuff like that teach a lot about compromise?
Oh, for sure.
Constantly.
Compromise, inclusion.
Well,
not include. Well, I mean, that's a word now that people use, but I would say,
I think it's a fair word though.
Sure. I would say, man, I lived all over the world. I lived in the Philippines. I lived in Europe. I lived, all over the United States. And what I was fortunate to see at a very early age was that there was always a different way to look at something, that not everybody saw something exactly the way that, like, maybe if you stayed in one place and everybody saw the same thing the same way, there's just more diversity and tolerance. And so, for just all kinds of different things. And so I think that taught me early on, how to be observant, how to be in a situation and kind of look around and kind of see, like, people have put it different ways, but like, it's an interesting thing in social experiments. Like you can, it's like pecking orders, or like who's above you, who's at your level, who's below you, even though it's not like, like who's below you, meaning like you are, like you're down on them. It's just like if you walk into any high school, you have like the cool kids, the pop, all these different things, these casts of whatever. Right. And so moving around so much, I saw that so many times, and it just taught me many different things about, like, and one of the things that and no matter where I went, one of the things, and I had somebody reach out to me like a year or so ago on Facebook, was I hated bullies. So like, because, when I was younger, I wasn't always a popular kid when I was moving, but then I got to the point where I think I was cool enough socially that I could figure out how to be one of the cool kids, but I also didn't let that like shape me. So it was always like, I always stood up for the little person. So like if people were getting picked on or whatever, I would stand up for them, And I remember this guy reached out to me. We connected like a year or two ago. And he was like, "Oh my God, I remember when you stood up to this." I won't say it because in case he's watching now. He was like, I remember when you stood, there's the biggest bully in school, but him and I were cool. And he kept messing with this kid constantly. And one day I was just like, dude, just fucking leave him alone. And I stood up to him and I was like, stop messing with him. And because we were cool, he did. He just left him alone. And then he never got picked on ever again. And he was like, he pretty much was like, you saved my life back then. But at the same time, it was like, I remember, saying that at that time, but it was like, this has been like 30 years later or something. Then that stuck with him, And so it was just something I think, that I learned was just like, just be kind, man. It's like, I just saw so many different things and I learned a lot of lessons traveling, I guess I should say. One of them was, to be kind to people, no matter, I've always taught my kids that too. I was like, be respectful of people who serve you, or in the service industry, because it's a hard job. And it's something that, we need everybody to do their part so that we can all function, from the trash guy to the person who sweeps the floor, cleans the bathroom or whatever. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, always treat people with kindness. They're humans too. Just because they have a certain job doesn't mean that they're not educated. They're not smart. They're not, they don't have feeling, all these different things, And so, I think my kids are better for learning that lesson. And, I always like one of my litmus tests for, doing business with people or anything is like taking them out to eat. And I watch how they treat people who serve them, if they're rude to the waiters or they're, impatient or they're snapping at somebody or they just don't understand, like, it's not just this person, it could have, the food was bad, but maybe it was the person, but they're taking it on this person. It's just watching people and how they treat people, and so, sometimes it doesn't matter even if I get bad service. I'm always tipping 20% just because I was a waiter once. And I know sometimes you just have a bad day, sometimes you just can't get yourself.
The other tables suck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just all that kind of stuff, Now, again, I'm sitting here saying all this stuff, but I have my own things too. Trust me.
Well, we all do.
We all do. But I'm just saying in general, I think, moving around just taught me a lot about diversity in the world and not to always look at something with what's the word? Blinders on. Like, be open. Like if somebody's like, this is a mic and it's, it's black, but from your perspective, maybe it's a different kind of black or it has whatever, because you're seeing it from a different point of view. Not saying that you have to change your mind about this, but be open to that. you know?
Well,
I think that's how.
you know what's rolling around inside your head. Don't you want to know what's rolling around inside other people's heads?
Exactly. Yes. And
Or you just want to just like bank on all the shit you already learned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So to me, it's just like when I meet somebody who's just like unmovable, I'm just like, oh, it's frustrating to me. And I'm also have tolerance for them too, because I kind of understand maybe where that comes from. But at the same time, just like, just be a little bit open,
Well, you can model what it's like to be movable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you traveled a lot overseas?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever gone overseas with someone that's never been overseas before?
Ooh. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Was your experience? So I have traveled overseas with people that haven't been overseas before. People that like kind of have never left their own little
bubble.
Like, pie,
okay. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I've been with somebody who has been to other places, but not like maybe Europe or something like that.
Let's say, okay, have you ever traveled with somebody overseas that this is the first time they've been out of the United States?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, sometimes with those people, it is super eye-opening. It was for me the first time. The first time I traveled outside the United States was China.
Okay.
So I was just like, and I was like in my 30s. I was just like,
yeah, mine was the Philippines.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, once you start doing that, it just starts shoving perspective like down your throat.
For
and
sure.
you start really going like, oh, wow. And I traveled overseas with someone that had never been overseas before and was very timid about the whole idea.
Yeah.
And by the time we came back,
Yeah.
a lot with me kind of just reminding him to have fun and relax and enjoy. He actually like had a good time doing things he would never have done before.
Yeah. It's all.
It's awesome. Like, it is the coolest feeling that you're gonna feel as an adult. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Besides like having kids or being in love, maybe like traveling overseas, and experiencing just other culture is amazing.
It is definitely, and it's especially if it's probably somebody who's open to it. I have been around people that not specifically with me, but in the groups where they're just like, they're closed off, and then they're just complaining about things. And I've seen other people that haven't experienced that, but are just open to like, let me try this new food, or like, like if there's just different ways of doing certain things in certain cultures. And instead of snubbing your nose at it or like calling it stupid or like, why are we doing this? Just kind of going with the flow and having that experience, And so, I like that, when you see that.
It's called being present, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what this whole thing is about, is like being present. Yeah. That's why I do this, really. Yeah. Like I tell people all the time, everything else outside of what we're doing right now is just kind of work. This is the fun part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inviting a complete stranger to my house and going like, hey, you want to talk to me for 2 hours?
Yeah,
and you don't know what's going to happen? Yeah. Great, let's do it.
Hey, that's my day all the time.
Well, I mean, but it's like waiting tables. Yeah. Except I just get to spend a little bit more time with the table.
Exactly. But I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've showed up to a house to somebody I've never met before. Like literally, like I've talked to him on the phone for maybe 10 minutes, but I'm like, all right, I'm about to show you, 6 houses tomorrow, and you're going to buy something that's like one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make. And you're just meeting me, And so it's like in those 6 homes, I've got to do so many different things to show these people, like, bring the value and like get them to trust me, because I can be trusted because of my knowledge and understanding and my experience. Right. And so it's just like but at the same time, when you think about it, it's a really weird situation showing up to a home where I've never met somebody, just maybe over the phone, because they were referred to me by somebody who they trust. And they're like, you got to use this guy. He took care of us. He's, whatever they say. And then, I call them on the phone, maybe send them a questionnaire, but I haven't physically met them. And I show up to a home. And then the weirdest thing too is like, especially if it's a first time home buyer and then walking to a home that somebody's living in. And I have to always remind like, hey, it's okay to like look around, open up doors, look in cabinets. They're like, oh, it's just so weird, And to me, I do it all the time. I walk into people's houses constantly that live in these houses. And, it's normal for me, but I always have to put myself in the position of somebody who doesn't do this all the time, where you just walk into somebody's house and you just see their life and how weird it's got to be for, number one, they're just meeting me, and then they're walking into somebody's house they don't even know, and they're seeing all kinds of things. So it's an interesting thing sometimes. And I kind of don't glaze over it and just kind of like have bad bedside manner. Like I I'm present. And I'm like, I probably know how you feel right now, even though I do this all the time. And they're like, oh yeah, it's just super awkward. I didn't know if I could go. Can I go in this room? Can I open this door? I'm like, yeah. So anyway,
You know, when we were talking about Joe's apartment, I feel like that no one's gonna get that reference. I feel like it's like right smack in the middle of the highlight of when I was like in college and stuff like that. That Joe's apartment's such a small reference. Anyway,
yeah.
And I was like, man, that's a bummer that like he quit like acting like after that. But I don't know, man. Maybe being I don't know if being a real estate agent is the calling, but definitely, you know, that type of help with people and like you were saying, like, you know, growing up, like trying to stick up for that little person and stuff like that. That's definitely like your superpower. It sounds like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I just didn't, you know, it's one of the things like in my business, one of the things that I've been able to be really good at because I got real intentional about it was open houses. In my business or in any sales business, you have to learn how to lead generate, how to get people to work with you. One of the things in real estate that's the oldest, you know, thing to lead generate with is open houses. Most realtors hate them, and most realtors hate them because they don't do them the right way. And that's a whole like other topic or whatever. But I think one of the things with open houses for me is that it's a face-to-face interaction where somebody's coming to me and I have the ability to, you know, show them who I am immediately and get them to hopefully, if they're not working with a realtor and want to look at other houses or buy the one that I'm showing them or whatever, I just have that face-to-face interaction. I used to teach realtors, like when people would come in, you know, we like what you were saying before is like we turn on this persona or this whatever. And I'm like, just be you. When somebody comes in, have a normal, natural conversation that's genuine and wanting to help them. And that will secure a relationship a lot faster than like, hey, this is a toilet. And, you know, my name is, you know, so-and-so or, you know, whatever. You know, it's just like really care about the person who's coming into the door because, you know, obviously they're looking to buy, you know, 9 times out of 10. And if you can just be a genuine, real person right off the bat, if you can learn that skill, people will trust you and want to, you know, use you or work with you a lot sooner and faster if you learn how that they're not just a paycheck. They're not just, you know, some random nosy neighbor coming through the door. I said, I love nosy neighbors. You know why? Because eventually they sell their house. So if you walk into my house and Scott's like, oh, I just lived 2 doors down, you know, some realtors will be like, oh, okay, this guy's just coming to like kick the tires or whatever, wants to see what this house looks like. No, Scott eventually is probably going to sell his home or he knows somebody wants to move into the neighborhood. Talk to Scott like he is a genuine person because he is. You know, and I can't tell you how many times when I've had that attitude, like how those things have spun off into just different, you know, either working with those people or getting a referral from somebody because I just didn't like, you know, just dismiss them basically and just be like, oh, you're a nosy neighbor.
What people remember about you is how you treat them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or or what I've learned is people will really remember you with the way you make them feel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is part of how you treat them, I would say.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah. It's you know, there's probably, you know, circling back to you stopping that bully. You know, the reason this guy reached out to you 30 years later is because of the way you made him feel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, not in a humble brag. That's a really cool thing you did that you just did because that's who you are. And it's really awesome that someone appreciated it that much and it made that big of a difference. Just you being yourself. You know what I mean? That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I know. And one of the things that I love the most about that is that I taught my kids those things and they're very, you know, like my daughter was saying something the other day, somebody was teasing somebody about something and she just kind of like, because I always would talk to them about that. I was like, if you see somebody, you know, I'd like explain the whole thing to them. But it's funny when you hear the stories back to you from your children about the things you've taught them. And they're like, oh yeah, the other day this happened. And then I kind of stuck up for this person or I said this or said that. And you're like, okay, I'm doing something here. At least that's how I feel anyway. You know?
It's the same thing that math teacher did for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Where were we? What were we talking about?
You were saying something about the rewind or remix or some shit about G and Josh.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do this thing called mixtape therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea of mixtape therapy is like a mixtape back when we were kids. It's like, you put all your favorite songs on it for your girlfriend or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then there was the and one mixtape, would it be like a bunch of basketball players doing cool ass moves?
Yeah.
So it's like the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, what if we can take podcasting and take the best of the media that we absorb,
Mm-hmm.
plus our relationships and everything else in our world that helps teach us the therapeutic parts of it.
Yeah.
And we put it into a medium and call it mixtape therapy.
Interesting.
So I do a podcast on the side called Mixtape Therapy.
Okay.
With this wonderful lady named Hannah Shaper. She's a therapist, and so we do therapy type talk. But then on my own podcast, I will bring in. So say I brought in Josh and G, right?
Yeah.
And I asked them tough questions in between the two of them from this game called Unpack That, which is called Therapy in a Box.
Okay.
So
I love those kinds of questions. By
so
the way.
these get pretty dicey. They get pretty shaky early.
Let's go.
You know
Let's
what I mean?
go. I love them.
So anyways,
Yeah.
So I bring the two guys on.
Yeah.
Right. And then it just started going. And they just started talking
Really?
and telling. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like,
Oh wow.
like I'm listening back to it. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not going to let half of this go on
Go
the
on
internet.
air, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But I think it was really good for them.
Yeah.
And I think it was good for them to see it back in a weird way.
Interesting.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
We're going to do another hit of the sake or what?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Okay. Do I need to do anything special?
Just like meditate when you pour it. There you go.
Oh, man. Can you just buy sake at the liquor store?
You can. This is called Demon Slayer. It's one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you a big sake connoisseur?
My kids would say I am, but
I don't know if I've ever met anybody. So let's chat about this real quick. Okay. So,
all right.
Okay. Hot sake, cold sake.
Cold sake. I hate hot sake.
Why do they do differently?
Okay. I'm not an expert in that sense, but I think it's
Look,
more.
I'm asking for your expertise.
I think it's more of a American thing for the hot sake. It just became more popular.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. So typically what I heard was when you go to like Japan or something, you drink sake, they put it in a wine glass actually. So this whole like coming out with a carafe and the little shot glasses and how you shoot it.
American.
Hot sake, American. I think. I don't know. I haven't done that much research, but this is what the story that I'm telling myself. So, but I prefer a very clear, not, there's some that are like really like milky and things like that. And I just like a good, it's called
Jumanji?
Something like that. We'll call it Jumanji. You could say Jumanji, but it's a certain type of sake that I like, and it's probably on the higher tier. So typically when I go to a sushi restaurant, I'll look for that name, Jumanji, Jumanji, whatever. I just know what it looks like, and I'm like, I want that one. And yeah. So, but this one specifically, I found at Sushi Fever, and it is called the Demon Slayer. And I buy a big ass bottle of it, and they save it in the back for me. So like when I show up with friends or whatever, I show up and I'm like, hey, can I get my bottle out of the back? And people are like, what the fuck?
Man, that's fancy.
Yeah. And then they just come out with my big ass bottle and pour it into a carafe and,
How many times a week you go into the sushi place?
Well, a couple of years ago, probably once a week.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. It was my favorite spot for a while, just because they just, I've been to Uchi, I've been to all the nice fancy places.
Austin has a lot of fancy.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done the omakases and, down at, God, what's that? I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, real small restaurant, 8-seater, $300 a pop per person. You walk out of there, you're still hungry kind of places. So I love going to Sushi Fever. I spend $100, and, feel like, and my favorite is the Monica Vegas. So anytime I take anybody who says they don't like sushi, I go, okay, let me take you to the spot, take them to the spot, call out my bottle.
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, garçon. And I used to have a waiter there that I would always sit in his section. It'd be slammed there on like the weekends, and I just text him, say, "Hey, I'm coming in," and he's like, "I got your place ready for you." You know, his name is Johnny, real cool guy. But anyway, so and then I always say, if you don't like sushi, try the Monica Vegas. I guarantee you'll love sushi after that, and pretty much 9 times out of 10 they do.
What's on it?
It's a tempura shrimp, some salmon, cucumber. It's wrapped in soy paper versus the seaweed, which I think is a really good low entry into sushi. I think that's why a lot of people like it, because it doesn't have that seaweed taste. It's not fishy either. So that's the thing that most people are like, I don't want something that's real fishy. Well, the Monica Vegas is not real fishy. It's a big roll, but you know, that's the other thing people complain about. It's like, it's really big. So but anyway,
I lean towards eel.
Really? Yeah. I mean, eel, you know,
It kind of tastes like chicken. I mean,
Sure.
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, no. The eel is definitely a tastes like chicken kind of food. But yeah, it's there are some, like I think they call it the something dragon that always has eel on it. A dragon roll is typically an eel.
Really?
Oh yeah. Most of the time you go into a sushi restaurant and you look at something called anything that's called the dragon is probably going to have eel on it.
How interesting.
Yeah.
My birth year is Year of the Dragon. Maybe that's why.
I'm a tiger.
Does that explain anything about sushi? No,
not at all.
Not at all. Okay, what is a expensive bottle of sake gonna cost me? Like, how much is that giant bottle of Dragon Slayer that you got?
Well, I mean, that's at the restaurant, so that's always like 100% markup, but it's probably like $130.
Did you buy it from the restaurant?
Yeah. So they sell it. It's the big ass bottle that they have there. It's called Demon Slayer, and you buy it from them. I think it's like $130
From them. So it's probably like $60 at the store.
Maybe. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. I went to H Mart one time and I saw a bottle. It was probably like $80 actually. Maybe it's 160. I don't look at the price. I know that sounds really stupid, you know, or dumb or whatever, but
let me ask you
maybe
this.
it's $160.
You're not looking at something for the price that you really enjoy doing.
Correct.
Which is where you want to be in your life. You don't want to be so money strapped that the things that you really enjoy, that you can't just truly enjoy them because you're worried about the money aspect of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I used to get teased about that a lot back in the day because I would never, like, I would go into Whole Foods and I would buy things and come home and my ex-wife would be like, really? You bought $10 marshmallows? And I was like, oh my God. At Whole Foods. And I was like, oh shit, you know, and my kids would mess with me all the time because they'd be like, they'd play this game like The Price is Right. And they'd be like, Dad, how much does this cost? I'm like, I don't know, $10. And it'd be like 2 or something that was like really, you know, so, but now that I'm divorced and I, you know, go to the store a lot by myself now, I'm more price conscious. So I will look at things now because I'm like, oh, okay, you know, buy 4 items and walk out for $150. There's something wrong there. So, but anyway.
Well, I feel like if you really want to mess somebody up on like a grocery store game, take somebody like from the South that's only shopped at like these southern grocery stores, and then throw them into a Whole Foods and go, name the price on this macaroni and cheese.
Exactly.
They'll be like $2.59 or like $10.15.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It skews off the whole system.
There was another big joke because one Christmas I took both my daughters to Whole Foods to buy gingerbread houses. Came home, they did them all. Ex-wife comes home. She looks at the receipt. She's like, you spent $50 per gingerbread house. So it's like $100. And I was
these weren't like ginger mansions?
Exactly. Like, no, they were just like regular, but maybe they were organic. Maybe, you know, I was like, who knows? But I mean, it was from Whole Foods. So anyway, it was always the running joke in my house for a long time, is that I didn't pay attention to prices, which sounds really weird. But yeah, I don't know. I would just go and I don't know. So,
well, you notice how every time you tell a story about you shopping at a grocery store where shit goes horribly wrong, it's at Whole Foods.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because when you shop at a regular grocery store, you don't have to worry about $10 marshmallows because that doesn't exist at a regular grocery store.
Correct. Yeah. There was no high fructose corn syrup in those marshmallows at all, I'm sure. The $10 ones at least. At least that's what I wanted to tell myself.
I mean, God bless. Like Whole Foods has the best business model.
They do.
Somehow they convinced you that really expensive shit is good for you.
Oh, for sure. It's like
no matter what.
But it feels like Disneyland when you walk in there, right? I mean, it's just like it's an experience. It's not. It's not grocery shopping. It's like, oh, look at these Justin peanut butter cups. You know,
they're so much better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
especially to you, you're probably like, they have my name on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so people that live in Texas are probably the people that get this. Do you get the same feeling when you walk into a Buc-ee's that you get when you walk into a Whole Foods?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
For sure. Yeah.
Because it's an experience.
Totally. Yeah. When I used to drive to Houston once a week years ago. And the first one that was on 290, at least that's the one I think it was the first one that we would pass by. You know, everybody always, of course, stopped because it had the cleanest bathrooms.
Right.
But then all, you know, like the beaver nuggets and all the different things that you could buy there, or whatever. But now you go into one, it's just like, it's like an amusement park. And I remember the last time I went to a Buc-ee's, I could not believe the amount of, it was like ants of people just everywhere, consuming everything, going everywhere, just Buc-ee's. I thought, where the hell am I right now? Like, how did they, gas stations have been around for a long, long time.
Right.
What's the secret in their sauce? I mean, it started off as clean bathrooms. That was their thing. Everybody talked about. All the ladies wanted to stop there because that was the cleanest bathrooms, you know? But then it's just like they started doing all these different products and everything else. But I've been to gas stations that have the same stuff in them, but I don't know what it is about Buc-ee's. I don't know if it's the branding, the marketing. I don't know. They just have a secret sauce.
I got an idea.
Good for them.
They make it a place that you have to go to.
Correct. Yeah.
You like,
Yeah.
So for people that aren't from Texas and don't know what a Buc-ee's is, it's kind of like if a grocery store and like a Walt Disney World, like gift shop and a gas station had a baby.
Correct.
And like you can get almost anything or everything in there.
Yes.
They have like every bathroom has like 150 stalls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in there, like when you walk out, he goes in there immediately and cleans your bathroom. You're like, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
So they make it a place you have to get beaver nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Of course. I love it. It's like old school cereal. I used to bring it home and just eat it like cereal. I'd put milk in it.
The beaver nuggets?
Yes.
Oh,
you
just blew my mind.
It's like this. Remember the Sugar Smacks?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's like, or the Pops. Pops. Have you ever had Kellogg's Pops?
Yeah.
It's the same. I put it in cereal and just eat the hell out of it. I mean, I was probably 60 pounds heavier back then when I was doing that. But yeah, man, I would bring it home, put it in cereal. And then the best thing after that was the cereal milk that you would get from the beaver nuggets.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It was great.
I mean, like these little nuggets couldn't have more butter.
Oh, sure.
But be drier. I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're full of butter, but it's like dry. They're like cookies. They're crispy. But
correct.
like the sweetest, most buttery cookie you could like ever have.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Crack.
Beaver nuggets.
Beaver nuggets.
Who knew?
Do I really need my coffee? I don't guess I do.
I didn't have coffee this morning.
You know what? I don't need caffeine. I don't need caffeine.
You don't need caffeine.
All right, so
You just
I'm gonna
slaying the sake over here.
Yeah. Wait, did you get some?
I did not. You want me to?
I guess I could have handed that to you instead of sliding the
It's all good. That was funner.
It made me feel like a real bartender.
Okay, we're out. Should I refill it?
Yeah, I mean, why not? When in Rome. What alcohol potency is sake?
Probably the good ones are like 17 to 19%.
Damn.
Yeah.
Push your mic in there.
Yep. 17 to 19%.
Man.
That's why I like it. So I used to. One of my things was like if I ordered a bottle of wine or something, I would always look at the alcohol content first. If it was higher, like if it was a 12, I was like, nah. But if it was like a 13, 14, I'd get that. Because I wanted to drink the least amount of alcohol to get the most
Bang for your buck.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. But I'm not like when I started drinking again, I didn't drink for like 14 years, but then I started drinking again, and I didn't want to drink a lot. So I was like, I didn't want to do beers. And if I did beers, I went with the high ABVs, like 6, 7%. Or if I drank wine, I wanted it to be 13, 14, 15%. So it's just weird like that.
I mean, it makes sense.
So like when I drink sake, I like it because it's a higher higher, alcohol content or whatever. So,
well, look, it's kind of like one of these things where like,
cheers,
salute,
clink.
Whatever you're supposed to say.
Yeah. Slancha.
Is that what?
No, that's a Irish thing.
Oh, okay.
Slancha.
I was like, I just learned a new Japanese word.
I was supposed to go to Ireland last year, and I didn't end up going. But I learned how to say cheers when you say slancha. So, anyway.
You know what? I went to Ireland, and I guess we said that stuff.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Are you going to Ireland for like history reasons? What are you going to Ireland for?
Well, just to see Ireland because it's beautiful, like the cliffs and things like that.
Very much so.
Yeah, yeah. No,
it also just rains a lot.
That's what I heard. But I just think in general, it's just to go to Ireland, go to certain places like where I have a lot of Irish heritage. So wanted to go to some places like Galloway and things like that are in my 23andMe data that says that's where some of my family are from. So, I like stepping foot in places where my ancestors were, I guess.
How you feeling about that 23andMe? You feeling safe about it?
I would say more. Ask me, why do you say that? Feeling safe about it as far as because there's a couple spectrums you could go, like people having your data, or like you take a test and somebody figures out that you have a long lost brother. Like there's a lot of avenues you could go down there with 23andMe.
I mean, I would be cool with like a long lost brother.
Okay.
Or some child that I somebody had that's my like I'd be cool like
cool with that.
I don't know if I'd be cool with just like someone having my DNA.
Okay.
But I don't know if that even really matters at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. They were talking about something that they were worried about. And I was like, well, you walk around with this phone all day long. Somebody can geocache you, figure you out. Your face is being photographed a million times a day on cameras and different things like that. It's like nowhere is safe anymore. So I don't know. Yeah, the 23andMe, I thought about it for like 2 seconds and then I swabbed and then sent it in. But just definitely wanted to, I was just curious about, and then, they have all I don't know how they get all this from your saliva, but all the different genetic things, and some of it they're spot on, some of them they're not, and they constantly are asking you questions like, can you take the survey? Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to upgrade for more or whatever? But it's kind of cool because I'll get these emails. They'll be like, hey, you have a new relatives that shows up. And you kind of get a little thing in your stomach because you're like, oh, shit, what is this? Is it going to be a sibling or, something else or whatever? I don't know. But so far, none of that showed up for me. But I think it is interesting how it has definitely disrupted the holy shit, I didn't know that these were not my biological parents, or holy shit, I didn't know that I had more family somewhere. Yeah. I think that's an interesting, I don't think that was something that maybe they thought about in the concept, but maybe they did. I don't know.
Oh. I think where I think it would suck, like just from a real world situation, is someone else having your DNA and then connecting with you and then trying to take advantage of you in some reason because your shit's out there. But like, I mean, again, like you said, like I watched a ton of like murder shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You would be shocked how many people get caught by a cell phone tower with their cell phone. I'm like, the first thing you do when you go to murder somebody is leave your cell phone at home. Turn it off, for sure. Throw it, break it.
I feel like
burn it.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, all these documentaries and Dateline have taught people how to kill people better. More like if you're going to be smart about it, because every single one is about a cell phone tower, right?
Almost.
It's like ping, 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 and I'm like, guys, this has been around for a while. You're going to start killing people and dropping their bodies off in the middle of nowhere. Probably shouldn't take your cell phone. Probably should just leave it, at home.
You can't use credit cards.
Exactly.
You probably can't use motorized vehicles.
Yeah.
You definitely can't use public transportation.
Yeah.
You're going to need to cover your face.
Yeah, all these things.
Get a bad wig.
It's scary. Yeah. It's scary how much knowledge we have now. If you really sat down and really wanted to murder somebody and try to get away with it, there's a lot of information out there now.
Well, I've said this. I don't know if I've ever said this on a podcast, but I've said that, they don't make serial killers like they used to. And the main reason is why is because
the good old days.
The good old days. Because
I love that.
Because like when Ted Bundy was murdering women, I mean, there was no way to really like hold this guy down. He was moving so fast. There's barely pay phones.
Sure.
There's no cell phone, stuff like that. And now, I mean, like you said, there's so many ways to catch somebody. It's going to be really hard for someone to go on a long-term like murdering spree over years. They might do it in weeks, but like
sure,
they're going to get caught too fast. At least you hope so, I guess.
Yeah. So technology is really caught up.
Well, that's where technology is like good, right?
Correct.
Where technology is bad.
If you're a serial killer, yes, you don't like technology.
Yeah, you don't like technology at all as a serial killer.
Yeah, because they're gonna find you now.
Well, I mean, I just
I don't know.
I never thought we'd get on the topic of serial killing with or without technology.
How do we go from beaver nuggets to serial killers?
Because people kill people for beaver nuggets.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Somebody goes on a rampage.
Or a clean bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes that's all you want when you're on the road for 6 hours. It's just you just want to be able to go and not throw up when you walk into the bathroom.
What's the worst thing you've encountered in a gas station bathroom?
Man. Oh God.
Have you ever walked into one and gone like, nah, I'll just hold it?
Oh, for sure. Like lots. Yeah. No, my mom was like the litmus. It's like she was such a clean freak growing up. It was so bad because sometimes I'd have to pee really bad and my mom would like, stay here. I'm going to go check it out. And if it's not clean, we're going to keep driving. And I'm like, Mom, we're in the middle of Nevada. Like there's not another gas station for 4 hours. Just let me pull over on the side of the road and go to the bathroom. Right. But yeah, she would and she did that with hotels too. It was so crazy.
Wait, we should go check them out before.
Yes. She would be like, okay, everybody stay here. I'm going to go look at a room. So she'd go in, she'd get a key. And if she didn't, my mom was such a clean freak. And if it didn't meet her standard, we just kept driving.
Dang.
That's the way I grew up, man. Yeah. I mean, God bless her. I love my mom. But she had some standards and it was bathrooms and hotel rooms,
What was y'all's house like immaculate at home?
Still is, man. You could eat off my mom's floors. Yeah.
She got plastic on the couches?
No. She doesn't need them because she cleans them constantly.
Like shit's clean.
And sometimes you can't even sit on a certain couch. Like that couch is just for show.
We had show couches when I was growing up.
It didn't have plastic on it, but it was just like you'd only sat on that when guests came over. Yeah. My sister and I joke all the time because this one thing that has probably almost got us divorced several times from her husband or maybe my ex-wives or whatever. It's like we always swore we were never going to be like my mom growing up with the whole cleanliness thing. But one thing is that when guests come to our house for the first time, we've gotten a lot better about this, but if there's a half bath or a guest bathroom, that would get cleaned and then nobody could use it the whole day until the guest came because my mom was so like, do not touch this bathroom. If you have to go to the bathroom, go to whichever one over here. But this bathroom cannot be touched until the guests come because they have to see it immaculate the first time. Like it can't have a hair or like a drop of water or whatever. It just had to be immaculate. And that's just how she was. So I remember when we would have people over to our house and I would clean it. And at the time, my ex-wife and I, we had 5 kids together. So downstairs bathroom, besides ours in the primary bedroom, was just a half bath. So you have 5 kids in the house and I have people coming over and I'd clean this bathroom and I'd be like, okay, look, nobody used this bathroom. And I remember her losing her shit on me. She was like, I paid for this bathroom, right? It's like, what is I don't understand the concept of why we can't use this bathroom. I said, I don't know. It's just the way I grew up and there's just something in me. Like somebody's coming over. We can't use this bathroom. It has to be immaculate. And I thought about that a lot. I was like, I think I need some therapy because I don't know why. I said I'd never do it, but I did. It was the weirdest thing. And my sister and I have had these conversations so many times because she's like, her husband is just like, they have the same thing as like when they just laugh about it. And they're like, and sometimes there's been arguments and fights about it, but it's an interesting thing. So,
well, okay. One, well, let you know, it's pretty common for people to do the shit that their parents did.
Oh, for sure.
It's actually like a thing. You know, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. But I mean, when you say things like you're not going to be this way and then you are that way, you're like, damn it. You know? So anyway.
Why do you, just really quickly, why is your mom still alive?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not trying to like put her on Front Street. What's her mom's name?
Lorraine.
Lorraine.
She actually changed her names in the 70s. It was Lee Ray, and she hated it because it was so Southern. And then she was like a flower child, you know, young woman of the 70s, and she legally had her name changed to Lorraine.
So is it the same spelling?
It's L-A instead of L-E-E. So she changed it to Lorraine instead of Lee Ray.
Interesting.
Yeah, because people used to call her Lee growing up. Actually, her real Lee Ray was her middle name. Her first name was Georgia, so it's Georgia Lee Ray Powell.
Oh, your grandparents were just like
for sure
tearing it up.
So she went by her middle name and changed it to Lorraine. Yeah.
So why do you think she did that? Why do you think that was so important?
Well, so my sister and I did some digging on this, and my mom grew up with a really bad case of psoriasis, you know, from when she was young till, I mean, she still has it, but she didn't actually, because it was so bad, wasn't able to go to school for a long time. Like, I think she started public school in 4th grade or something because her psoriasis was so bad. But I think she used to shed like crazy, like a snake everywhere. And so my grandmother was constantly cleaning, and because they didn't know where the psoriasis was coming from, she was cleaning the house constantly, keeping it clean, keeping it clean. And then I think in general, she was just a clean person. But on top of my mom being so sick and having psoriasis, everything was just so clean all the time. Taking multiple baths, just different things, washing sheets constantly. So I think that just kind of got into her psyche somehow. But she has these rules, like where, you know, you don't wear most people like walk into their house, take their shoes off if you don't wear your shoes in your house. But my mom, you have to take your shoes off outside. You cannot even walk into the house with outside shoes on. So when we would come visit, sometimes she'd have this rule. It was called no shoes on the blue. So there was this blue rug she had, and you had to take your shoes off on the other side of the blue rug and then step on the blue rug so that I don't know. So all the we have no idea why it was, but it was no. And then the whole summer, all the kids were like, "No shoes on the blue, no shoes on the blue," and yeah, my mom doesn't know how many times I've walked outside the house with no shoes on and walked back in, or like I've done whatever. Yeah, there's just so many things that she doesn't know that my sister and I probably did over the years, just to, you know, because we broke the rules, but she didn't know.
I think, you know, okay. So let's just say your mom and everybody else on this planet just has their own little quirks and ways of doing things.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, when your quirks and your little ways of doing things start affecting other people,
yeah,
that's where it gets a little like dicey. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Now, so nice that, you know, y'all participated. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I did a lot of these same things. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, now it becomes something that's a sticking point in your life.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, you have to decide how important that is to you to keep doing that.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I'm not anywhere on that level. I mean, when people walk into my house,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, by the way.
No, not at all. No. Just trust me. I love the fact that she's, you know, when I go to my mom's house, you know, it's just always very clean, very organized.
You know what you're going to get.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And she loves it. My brother-in-law, one time, oh man, pissed her off so much. It was the funniest thing. And he was just being matter of fact about it. She had cleaned there were all the families coming in town from all over the world. And so we were having this big get together or whatever. And so my mom, you know, of course it starts, and we always feel bad for dad. Right. So it's like, we always know that he's doing a whole bunch of cleaning before everybody comes and all the, you know, the honeydew shit.
She's roping him in.
For sure. Yeah. No, we always apologize to him. We're like, sorry. And so anyway, we all get over there, and then my mom says something to Matham, and she's like, "Hey, you know, how does the house feel clean or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, pretty much feels like it always does, you know." And then in her mind, she lost her shit because she had like gotten up on the top, you know, like in her mind, it should have been, yeah, she'd done all this extra stuff to make it clean, but it just felt the same, you know? But in her mind, she knew all the extra things she had done.
Yeah.
And I think she was just like, what do you mean it looks the same? I did all this other stuff. But it was just so funny because he was just being so matter of fact and honest.
Well, and to him, you know, the standard is always probably really high already.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, I don't want to say he's not going to notice that she got the baseboards at the top, or I don't know, whatever her house baseboards aren't on the top of, you know, he's not going to notice all that
the
stuff.
crown
He's just
molding.
He's just going to notice like, man, this house is clean like it always is.
Correct.
I know what to expect.
Exactly.
You know, and that in itself is kind of a compliment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, for sure. No, it's you know, but anyway.
Nice job, Lorraine. Nice job on the crown molding and stuff. I'll give you a compliment.
If you go to see Lorraine's house, you can eat off the floors. So
I mean, that my parents' house is the same way.
Is it?
And I can feel when she comes over here that she, sorry, Mom. Like I just
you're like,
not,
hey, let me move all this out of the way so you can sit down.
Look, it's not that bad, but just her standard is much higher,
correct,
than mine.
Yeah,
and for a long time, my standard was that high, but I had to come to terms with that's just not my mode. My mode is I'm okay right here. You know,
when
what I mean?
first moved out, it was horrible. I was a mini me of my mom, and thank God, you know, my first wife was very tolerant of me and really liked a clean house because I was just like her. And then over the years, as I had kids and life happened and everything else, I started making decisions because I exactly what you said. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was asking them about why they didn't come over much. And he was like, well, you want me to be honest with you? And I was like, sure. He's like, I feel uncomfortable at your house. And that shocked me because I was like, my house is so clean and organized. He's like, exactly. I feel like I can't sit down. I feel like I can't make a mess. I feel like I can't whatever. And it hit me at that point. I was like, you know what? This is affecting other people to where they can't come to my house and relax and just feel, you know, normal or something, you know? And so I just little by little, you know, and again, my house is clean, but it's not like, you know, sterile or like, you know, everything's perfect or whatever, you know,
it's not ready to show.
Correct. Yes.
It's not show
Maybe
ready.
That's why I got into real estate because
I was thinking I was thinking about why you're talking. I was like, did this guy get into real estate because he just likes clean houses?
Well, I can't tell you how many clients of mine, after we sell their house, they're like, oh my God, when you came over and you told me all the things I need to do to get my house ready, I was so mad at you, you know? And I was like, yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, it helped sell your house for more and faster and yada, yada, yada. But that is something that I'm very open and honest about. When I walk a house, I will go room by room and say, these are all the things you've got to do. And it's pretty much getting it back to like looking like a model home, you know, very simple, very basic, small things in each room, so that people can see themselves versus your stuff in there kind of thing. But I can't tell you how many times I've been at the closing table and I've had wives and husbands like, I hated it when you came through because it was like, you said this and I had to do this and I had to do that. And I'm like, yeah, well, but you know, pictures looked great, you know, showed well, sold fast. You're welcome.
What else you want?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but maybe that was training for me, you know?
Well, so. it's when your superpower really like paid off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your superpower of detail and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Are you pretty dapper dressed in the same way? Like, are your clothes always
I can be, yeah.
nice
I iron everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Like so like every day, that is a joke as well in my family, is that I iron every day. And then if you're my kid or my spouse or somebody in my life, your clothes are going to get ironed.
That's how I'm about. Like, I'm very particular about the way I wash my clothes.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you live in my world, you're going to get your clothes washed
a certain way.
Okay. Well, in my professional opinion, perfect. You're going to get your clothes washed exactly how they're supposed to be washed.
And where does that come from?
My mom.
Okay. So she taught you how to wash clothes, and
she never really, you know, it's weird. Like, you know, did your mom really teach you how to clean the bathroom, or do you just know what she expected?
Okay. All right.
So she didn't ever teach me how to like do my clothes.
Yeah.
Just me, you know, osmosis and being there, I knew the standard of the way things are washed and folded and smelled and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. I also I'd ask for advice. I go, how do you wash this? How do you wash this? What do you do?
Gotcha.
And then, you know, God bless OxyClean.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I don't know if I have a thing with washing clothes, but not like as far as like cleaning or ironing clothes or whatever. But yeah. For sure. And I don't know. I started ironing when I was 14. I've been ironing since I was 14 and I'm 49. So I literally like, yeah.
Do you have, I want to ask, do you have like an iron that you prefer? Like
yes, Rowenta. Yes. And I just recently, it blew my mind and I'm so upset that I haven't been able to I went to Europe last October and my sister, my stepsister, she lives in Germany and she has this iron I'd never seen before, but it has this cord and this big water tank attached to this cord, and it was like next level ironing. I'd never in all my years of ironing, this was like I went to the iron mecca and she has an ironing room and everything, right? So
it's like is it a steamer?
I can't, no, it's an iron.
Okay.
I wish I remembered the brand name of this iron, but this iron, like it senses like if it's cotton or linen or whatever, it will go up and down and adjust the heat immediately to whatever it's touching.
Whoa.
And it's like and I love steam because it really irons real fast. This steam level was like on another level. Like you would hit the button and it was just like, it was perfect immediately. No, you know how sometimes some irons you hit it and then there's like water will boil out and come up and your shirt's got water on and everything. Nothing like that. Next level.
Chinese laundromat level.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually like that. It was like commercial grade iron. Yeah, it was fantastic. But the thing is that I researched when I got back because I was like, I'm buying one of these. And the funniest thing was this. I'd never seen this before. I iron so much that when I travel, I take a travel iron. It's a specific one, right? And it's a small one, but it's a Rowenta.
What's your travel iron?
It's a Rowenta as well.
Okay, say it again?
Rowenta.
Rowenta?
Yeah, RW.
Okay, can I get where do I get a Rowenta iron from?
Amazon.
Okay, so it's
so when I traveled with Josh one time and he was like, hey dude, can you iron this for me? And I used my travel iron. He was like, holy crap. And he bought one too. Yeah. Cause he was like, this is like the greatest iron. Cause the thing is when you go, it doesn't matter. You could stay at 4 Seasons. Their irons there, they suck. Yeah, they're not
because they're like on the wall, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then they have this weird thing that has the metal thing on the back end of the ironing board, and you never can iron because I iron backwards. It's hard to explain. Yet it's a visual. But anyway, so like where the narrow thing is, that's where I put my iron at, and I iron on the fat part of it, so to speak.
But isn't that dangerous?
No, you just put it on. So when the thin part is where I always put my iron at when I'm ironing or whatever.
Are you still putting the head of the shirt on the thin part?
No,
I have the shirt on the opposite part.
I've learned how to do it on that because it's just a bigger surface to iron faster.
What do you iron on at a hotel? You iron on their ironing board?
Sometimes I do, but if it's jacked up with that, because I use the bigger part, if it has that metal piece on it, I iron on the bed.
Do you have a traveling ironing board?
No. I will flatten out the comforter and I will just iron whatever it is with my travel iron on the bed.
Do they make a travel ironing board?
Yeah, it's one of those like small,
it's like a charcuterie board.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's like a charcuterie board ironing board. Yeah.
Yeah. Dual, it's like a transformer.
Yeah. Whatever. It's got the little pegs, Yeah. But anyway, sorry. Yeah. No. What happened was, so I find this mecha iron at my sister's house and I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen this. And then I go stay in London at a, God, what was the name of that hotel? Oh man.
Fancy hotel in London.
It's not even fancy. It was like just trendy. They had an ironing room with this freaking iron in it.
No way.
Yes. So I was so happy. I had never been to a hotel. Not the Moxie. It'll come to me. Anyway, stayed at this hotel and they didn't have anything in the room. And I was like, man. And when I checked in, I looked at this little room right across from my hotel room. And I was like, that's an ironing board. So I went in there, had the same freaking iron my sister had. And I was like, does everybody have this iron over here? I don't know. But every day I went in, I was the only one that used the damn ironing board on my floor the whole time I stayed there. Stayed there for like 10 days. Yeah. So it's coolest. This is the coolest ironing board at a hotel I'd ever used.
I can just see you calling like I don't know.
I was taking photos, posting it, sending it to all my friends who know me. Oh yeah, dude. Like it was.
I just see you.
I was geeking out about it.
Like you call up and they're like, this is the Hilton. Whatever. Can I help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do y'all have an ironing room? Well, we have a gym, sir. We have a pool. We have a great big.
Yeah.
But do you have an ironing room?
I need an ironing room. Yes, with this specific iron in it.
Is it only made in Germany? Is the iron only made in Germany?
I think it's a European thing because I tried to order one here and it was like, nope, sorry, out of luck.
I had one of those experiences. I went to Turks and Caicos, and they had these like giant. I think they have them now here in the United States because I think my brother has one. But like they're like giant, like bed like pillows that you put on the water, but then they don't sink.
Okay.
But they're like they get water into them. They suck water into them, but somehow they float. Anyways,
It's for the pool.
well, they make some for the pool, but you could use. They have them like you could use them for a lake, or like you could use them on the like.
And it's a pillow.
Well, no, it's not a pillow. It's like a float,
Okay.
but it's like a pillow. But
Okay.
somehow when it absorbs water, that's what makes it float. It's probably some fancy science technology that was used in a space shuttle, and then they put it into this. Anyways,
Yeah.
point being is that we went to this hotel and we stayed and they had these, and we went out in the water and was like, these are fantastic. It was way better than like a float.
Yeah.
So I was like, we got to get one of these so we can take it to the lake. Well, we get back to the United States. I try to order one of these things. You could they're only like in Europe. They're only like I guess in the Bahamas or Europe at the time, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that sucks.
Same thing with my iron.
We're in America. Why can't we have the best irons in America?
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yes, correct. Or the floats. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I think you and I should start a company that brings in these unique items that people can't normally get. Like my iron will be on there. Your float will be on there.
Is that legal?
I don't know. I'm sure we could make it happen somehow.
Well, I feel like I have friends, like this is a totally different subject though, right? Like that they go to like Japan and they bring home Japanese whiskey in their suitcases. Like that's totally illegal, right?
They're not supposed to. I have no idea.
I don't have friends like that. I was just saying like someone could do that. And like, is that the same thing?
Is that the same thing? Maybe. I don't know. That's funny. I know friends, but I don't have friends that do that.
I know friends that have friends that do stuff like that, but
gotcha.
not my friends.
Not your friends.
Not
Not
people
your
I
friends
know.
at all. Yeah.
This final segment is brought to you by HeyJustBe.com. I believe that achieving balance in the mental, physical, and metaphysical aspects of your purpose through learning, serving, and creating can transform your life into one you truly enjoy living. Want to learn more? Visit www.heyjustbe.com.
So how I usually wrap this thing up is I ask people what they do to just be the best version of themselves so they can be good for everybody else. So you exercise guy, you like to exercise?
I do. So one of the things that I started 2 years ago, I had gallbladder surgery and I started walking 2 miles every morning. And in that, I do it rain or shine. The only time I won't walk 2 miles literally is if it's lightning out, because I have a thing with lightning. Most people do. But yeah, I walk every morning, and it's interesting. People who have come into my life who are around me, they've started to walk themselves. Sometimes, they've done other things, to keep fit or whatever, but then they would go for walks with me or whatever, and then they would start walking on their own or doing whatever. So it's definitely been something that through some things that I've been through in the last couple of years that have kind of kept my mental health there, I would say.
Walking's great for both physical and mental health.
I cannot tell you, and like your circadian rhythm, getting up in the morning and like seeing the sunlight, even if it's cloudy, just all kinds of different benefits.
Yes.
I walk 2 miles every morning. Yeah. Rain or shine, hungover, not hungover, I walk 2 miles, and I push myself. Just the other day, I stayed up, and I wasn't hungover, but I was stayed up a little late. I was super tired, but I was like, if I can just walk my 2 miles, I'll be good. And I did.
That's awesome.
I didn't like it. It didn't feel good, but at the end, when I was done, I was like, okay, I feel good. I did something.
You read books, yoga, meditate, anything?
I don't read because of, sometimes it's not enjoyable. I do listen to podcasts when I walk. I don't do yoga, but I will listen to like, apps at night, like the Aurora app or some other things that just kind of get you into a Zen place. But
is there any podcast you can recommend besides this one?
Besides this, I would say, yeah, right. I would say one of my favorite ones is Esther Perel.
Oh yeah,
I love the way her therapy style is. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
She's a pretty awesome lady.
She really is, man. She has helped me so much over the years. So she has a podcast called Where Should We Begin?
Mm-hmm.
And I just absolutely love it. And then just for just overall, I like Smartless. I don't know if you've heard of that
I have
podcast.
heard that. My girlfriend listens to that one.
Yeah, and then Huberman is another guy who's just like all science based, but then he's got some good information on there. And then of course I like Armchair Experts.
Yes.
And then just for like trash stuff is this one podcast. It's called Call Her Daddy.
Oh yeah. I've had yeah.
Yeah. I just listened to that. Like she's just can't remember what her name is, but she's interesting. But yeah.
Well, podcast listening is something that we do when we're doing something else a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it becomes like these are the people we're hanging out with and stuff. So yeah, like, you might hang out with someone that is like, call me daddy. And then you might hang out with someone that's armchair expert kind of, you know what I mean? It's like different groups of friends. It makes sense.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, hey, I appreciate it so much. You finally getting in here and doing this for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. I always ask everybody to give me a hug. You can push that mic out.
Sounds good, man. Let's hug it out.
Thank you so much.
Sure, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
All right.